Is Blake Lively winning the PR war? And is her PR going well for her? But this episode is looking at it through the lens. If I was simply an unbiased, I am a little bit biased and I identify my bias. I'm definitely pro Justin. I think we can all objectively say Blake has, been sketchy AF, that she has accused an innocent man of SH, that she has twisted situations to fit a narrative, and now she is destroying someone. What the original catalyst or reason for that was, whether it was because some of the rumors that he rejected her or because she wanted the movie, I don't think we've all agreed on what the original reason was. But I think what we can all agree on is she is not a good person. But I do want to look at it more from a objective viewpoint of what's going well, what's not, as well as moves Justin can make going forward from here that are beneficial PR moves without him having to speak. I think there is a big misunderstanding whenever I talk about this or adjusting his PR approach where people are like, he shouldn't speak and silence is what he should be doing. It's not just either silence or him speaking. Like those aren't the only PR approaches. So we're going to break down PR approaches that he can take as well. Now, to kick this off, I wanted to share the view of Reputation 911. Chris on TikTok, he is lovely. He has a lot of great takes and he has experience in crisis PR. So I want to share his take as well here. And I will say, I mean, this is a great response from him as well. This person says she used her voice to publish an article in the New York Times. She used her voice to send JB to the basement of the premiere, again to get her PGA credit. She used her voice to take over the film, etc. Chris says you're not wrong. If we're being candid, she was basically forced to become this messenger because her previous PR wasn't working and was bad. We've talked about that here. Donut Gate, horrific. The rebrand, like the every woman, I think she's going to go back to royalty. Anyway, Chris continues, will it have a lasting impact? We shall see. And this is a cornerstone of any talk about PR and marketing. The reason why you're paying the big bucks, things shift so fast that you have to be on top of it. So anything that we're talking about is like based off of what we're seeing right now. How are things going? But again, things can shift like that. I don't think anyone would have expected Justin to drop the receipts of the dance scene, right? That shifted perception really quickly. But let's see what Chris has to say.
Next for Blake Lively as she continues to try to fix her PR problems. So last week, she made her first late night talk show appearance since the Justin Baldoni feud really escalated back in December,
Sorry, guys.
both legally and reputationally. And for the first time, she directly addressed a question about the situation from host Seth Meyers. In her response, she leaned into messaging I predicted she'd adopt after her Time Gala speech about speaking without fear and empowering women to really use their voices. Not just fear of perpetrators, Justin in this case, but fear of backlash, especially online. That often follows when women speak out. The online environment can often, let's be honest, be toxic when powerful women speak out about situations that involve men, and that happens. She's hinting at, of course, I think to some degree, the Amber Heard Johnny Depp situation, but this notion of speaking without fear.
I actually want to interject here. And just a little nugget I'm going to drop is no doubt she was referring to that or other situations for that. I do believe that case is also a great example of how fabulous really good PR is, because a lot about Johnny was kept out. Hey, I'm a Johnny Depp fan. I Pirates of the Caribbean fan when he was on it, watched everything Johnny Depp growing up, big fan of Johnny Depp, and his PR team did a great job.
And this message around speaking without fear really made its debut again in the Times speech and through a few strategic back channel quotes in publications like People magazine and BuzzFeed. And now it's really clear that it will be a key part of her PR positioning against Justin going forward, which is smart because I think it helps to anchor her position against Justin in a broader, sort of elevated way, where this isn't just about her, it's about a systemic problem where her situation sort of aligns with.
And keep in mind, when myself or anyone else, so I'm finding what happens recently and is that if someone says Blake has done something well in terms of PR, all of a sudden you're pro Blake and you hate Justin and you get kicked out of the Justice for Justin community. I am definitely pro Justin, and acknowledging that there was something to be a good PR move does not mean that someone is now pro Blake. But I'm seeing that a lot is when PR specialists come out and say this was a good PR move, or when I say something of that's a good PR move, people are in my comments being like, I used to like you, now I hate you. And in my DMs being like, you're wrong, you suck, you don't know anything. This is also why it is so critical to build a brand. If you're building a YouTube channel or a brand online, based on your truth, and just be you, because at the end of the day, people in the public are so fickle, where they like you as long as they're saying exactly what they want you to say or being who they want you to be. But heaven forbid I say that, Blake and Ryan are doing good in terms of PR, and all of a sudden it's I hate you, you're a plant, you're pro Blake.
So what's next? Now that she's checked the box of actually addressing this directly herself, I think she'll continue to use the rest of May during the press tour for Another Simple Favor as a opportunity and a window to reset and realign her image and her comms and generate, hopefully, some positive press. And so far, I'd say it is working. If you look at some of the headlines which I've captured below, it does appear to be having that effect, where she actually has a little bit of momentum. And I don't know that that's been the case at any other point over the last 6 months. Naysayers and haters, of course, will say that this is a transparent attempt to reposition herself, that it's blunt PR. And let's be honest, it is, but not everyone follows this situation very closely, the situation between Justin and Blake. And there are millions of people who aren't tracking what's occurring on a day-to-day basis. And for those millions of people, as well as the people who believe Blake, this is effective, and it will be effective. And after that, though, I do think we can expect her to possibly step out of the spotlight for a bit, leaving on a higher note than she otherwise would have if she didn't do this interview and didn't debut some of this new positioning. Many have wondered why she hasn't just gone away for a bit.
So I agree with them. I think it would actually be smart. And this is something I've been saying in comment section as well. People saying, with the flooding the zone, she's overexposed. Overexposed and flooding the zone are two different things. And I agree that it's getting momentum in a positive direction and then potentially stepping away. But let's see what else he has to say.
With the idea being that, absence makes the heart fonder, I guess, and more people want to see you when you're gone. But that's difficult to do when you have projects to promote, like Another Simple Favor, which was imminent, and that you're literally contractually obligated to promote. And keep in mind, Another Simple Favor, though it debuted in May, first week of May, it's been on the festival circuit. It's, we've seen international debut. And so, like, this has been in the works for some time. And so it's difficult to sort of like go away and come back abruptly, for this one-off project. However, as we clear May, and now that Another Simple Favor is out, her IMDb list, her IMDb lists a few upcoming projects, but none of them seem to be in active development based off my own Google.
All right. So we'll just end it there, but you can find him over on TikTok. And I appreciate unbiased creators. And I genuinely believe that he calls the shots as he sees them, which is what I attempt to do. And I really appreciate Chris's view on things. And the one thing I would add, because it's always so hard, right? People also say like, I would add this, or I would say this. It's like, dude, I'm trying to fit this in under 3 minutes. For someone like me that can talk for hours on end, under 3 minutes is damn near impossible. One thing I would add is I think based on what their overall strategy behind the scenes is, just stepping away wouldn't make sense sometimes. So if their goal is risking potential overexposure at the benefit of solidifying themselves as power players in Hollywood and able to produce numbers and able to sign contracts and having the support of, I think it was 20th Century TV, I can't think off the top of my head, who just signed a See First contract with Ryan Reynolds. Tim Hortons just signed a contract with Ryan Reynolds as a spokesperson and collaborator. Paul Feig has spoken out about Blake Lively. If the goal was like, okay, we do take the risk that there might be some backlash short term to build this momentum positively for Blake, but also to show like, hey, we're still power players. Regardless of this, we're still invited to the right parties. We're still at the right tables. We're still getting the multi-million-dollar contracts. The risk benefit is, yeah, let's risk it because there's enough benefit to take this approach, and it seems to be working. Ryan particularly keeps signing stuff. He keeps getting contracts to do things, whether you like it or not. He is. And I know there's a lot of arguments around, well, was Blake Lively's movie actually number one? I've had some people say, we need to see numbers. We need to see all these numbers to prove it's number one. Yeah, it can be manufactured. It absolutely can be. Oh, let's just let Chris go while I rant so he doesn't have to be associated with my rant. It absolutely can be manufactured, and numbers can be manufactured as well. It is very well known that there are teams within the music industry that fudge numbers because, yeah, they're being sold, but who are they being sold to or streamed by, right? So numbers also don't really mean anything. And at the end of the day, Amazon Prime, I think it was Amazon Prime that it's on, Another Simple Favor. If she's pulling numbers on Amazon Prime for what works for Amazon Prime, right? And this is where we have to get out of the yeah, but, because the yeah, but it might not compare to a blockbuster at the movie theater. That's not, if you're releasing direct to streaming, you're not looking to compete necessarily with like the big blockbusters that make it to the movie theater, which I also feel like movie theaters are dying these days, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. It's a different conversation. Because what you're looking for is producing the numbers required on the streaming platform. You look at, and that can be lucrative as well. You look at Taylor Sheridan. Taylor Sheridan his universe was purchased by, oh gosh, Paramount, I believe. Ugh. But he's got like how many shows out there now? I love all his stuff. I will follow Taylor Sheridan anywhere, even though, was it Landman, the last one? I was like, miss the mark. But I like a lot of his other stuff, and I will always watch anything by Taylor Sheridan, even though there's some stuff I don't like of his. But look how lucrative that was for him. And it's a streaming platform. It's not like he's got big blockbusters competing at the box office, but he doesn't care. His bills are paid, and he's still creating an incredible world. So I think we have to stop comparing apples to oranges. At the end of the day, if she's still bankable as a actress with Amazon Prime, as an example, numbers, they just care about numbers. It's a business at the end of the day. Hate watching counts. If you are hate watching a movie, if you're hate clicking content, all of that counts because it generates income. It generates money. So we're going to look at two things Blake Lively is doing well, two things she's not doing well, and then we're going to flip over into Justin and things that have gone well and things that have not gone well. Number one for Blake and things that she's done well is that she has controlled the narrative. And the reality is perception. Reality isn't really perception in terms of PR games and marketing and branding and all of it. Reality is going to be, or perception is going to be shaped based on narrative control and who holds the power in narrative control. Blake Lively's holding the power right now. And there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, Judge, is it Lehman, shut Justin's team down. So I've seen people say, Ashley, you're wrong because they just wanted to get the receipts out there and then they were going to be quiet regardless. That's not true because Brian Friedman came out with other statements and even did a podcast interview. So that's not true. What appears to be the case is they were shut down on multiple fronts and boxed in. Number one, Judge Lehman was like, enough trying this in the court of public opinion. Y'all better not add more shit to your website, and let's just move on with this case. So Judge Lehman had really kind of given what I would call a come to Jesus warning to Justin's team. Do they have more receipts they want to put out? Maybe. It's very possible that website was meant to have a lot more content than it did, but they were strategically dropping the content. It's also possible that they, and I've been on this, I've said this from the beginning, got as like the major pieces out before that court here or before that hearing, the pretrial hearing, because they probably expected the judge to be like, and enough. So they got out the most damning stuff to the public right away. That's also possible. But the judge told them enough. Would they have put out more receipts? I do think if there were more receipts, they would have, honestly, because it only helps his case. Number two, Blake boxed him in. And it was a very smart PR move. When they came out with the lawsuit, Blake put these statements out, Blake's team. When I say Blake spoke or Justin spoke or Ryan spoke, I mean their teams. But when you're paid by someone, You are their voice. So it doesn't mean literally Blake made a statement herself. However, when that lawsuit came out, Blake Lively's lawyers and Blake Lively came out and hit back with another chapter in the abuser playbook. And so this article came out. We'll look at it really quick. This was January 17th, 2025. Says Blake Lively's team is firing back after Justin Baldoni filed a lawsuit against the actor, her husband Ryan Reynolds, publicist Leslie Sloan, and Sloan's PR firm on January 16th. Now, they've hit back with this multiple times throughout this case. So this isn't the only time. It was the first time they hit back. But this has been a go-to that her team has leaned into, because what do you say to this? In a statement published by People, Lively's legal team referred to the $400 million suit as desperate and another chapter in the abuser playbook. They said, this is an age-old story. A woman speaks up with concrete evidence of sexual harassment and retaliation, and the abuser attempts to turn the tables on the victim. This is what experts call DARVO, deny, attack, reverse victim, offender. And that was in regards to Justin defending himself with his $400 million lawsuit. And again, she had also come out later, again, basically saying, like, you're an abuser, shut up. Like, this is what women have to deal with, is our abuser speaking out against us. It's horrible because it effectively shuts down Justin's side, because what do you do from that perspective? Genuinely, what do you do? You keep talking and she keeps hammering in the press. See, this is exactly who I told you he was. He's not this feminist. He doesn't care about women. His brand's been a lie. Look at him going hard against me. Look at him trying to take me out. Look at him trying to smear me. So he can't talk. And silence eventually can become problematic as well. Complete silence can start to work against you, especially when you have Blake and Ryan controlling the narrative so strongly right now. So I know it seems like a negative because it seems like a really shady PR tactic, but they essentially boxed him in. And through boxing him in, Blake and Ryan are now controlling the narrative, controlling perception, and she's repositioned herself as some kind of like spokesperson, which I know is very triggering. We have to keep in mind, a lot of people do not know anything about this case. So to the general public that knows nothing about this case, it feels like, oh my gosh, like, look at what she's been through, and she's strong. She's showing up to work and she's doing the thing and she's speaking to us. It was overall smart. Number two, I would say that is going well for her is she's anchored in. So this was a shift. She's really anchoring into Ryan Reynolds' star power and his pull within the industry. So when we look at Ryan, he's had some big deals that have come through. This was a big one that hit the news. And this is March 27th, 2025. So right in the heart of all of this. It's not like it happened before. Ryan Reynolds and his Maximum Effort banner Inc. first look deal with 20th Century. This has been in the news. Another one that just happened, I believe it was yesterday, May 5th, is around Tim Hortons. Now, I really like if Ryan stopped attaching himself to such like Canadian identities. First, it was Tragically Hip in Kingston with his AstroTurfing campaign, and now it's Tim Hortons. However, Ryan Reynolds teams up with Tim Hortons to market their new breakfast boxes, and this is published as of May 5th. So yes, yesterday. I ate an irresponsible amount of eggs, and honestly, I regret nothing, Canadian actor stated. There's no release on how much he was paid, but Tim Hortons spokesperson has come out and said that's worth every penny. So I'm guessing it has been a lot of money. But they have this collaboration here going on, and it says, when deciding what food to partner on, Tim's chief marketing officer, Hope Bagazi, said Reynolds looked for a breakfast option that resembled the bacon and eggs he and his family eats at home. When I visited the Tim Hortons test kitchen, I took my role very seriously, by which I mean I ate an irresponsible amount of eggs, and honestly, I regret nothing, said Reynolds in a press release. Yes, they have ads. The ads feature an assistant fulfilling Reynolds' rider, which includes a newspaper with all the references to Birds Redacted, Vancouver Air, a left-handed cane, a jigsaw puzzle, one piece away from completion, and his beloved breakfast box. It looks like it was shared here.
Good morning, Ryan. I got everything from your rider here, your newspaper with all references to Birds Redacted, fresh air from your hometown, a left-handed cane for some reason, your jigsaw puzzle, one piece from completion, and of course, your scrambled eggs. Oh, gosh.
Nobody makes my eggs like you, Brendan.
Actually, these are...
And I have to stop. I'm sorry. I have to pause for fair use. this is something Tim Hortons has worked with Ryan in the past. This isn't something that's just overnight. There has been Tim Hortons on their YouTube channel. Deadpool has a message for Tim's, and it's also tagged Deadpool and Wolverine. So this isn't overnight. They're obviously standing by him.
From Tim Hortons. I know how much you like them.
Love them.
Yeah. So I gave them your extremely specific recipe, so now you can go get them yourself anytime you want.
Oh, did you?
Mhm.
2 freshly cracked.
And then he just goes into what the meal is. So he's signing these deals, and Blake, by them being back together in the public eye and showing a united front, it's like the power couple ultimately. And I think it's a smart move. I think it was smart that they took time away. So they went to the SNL. It landed like a lead balloon. You then saw them do things separately for a bit, and then they came back together. So that silence of them together was strategic. Coming back together, in my opinion, is to reconnect her with Ryan's star power and kind of like drag her along, if you will. And Ryan keeps signing shit. So, and benefit 3. I wasn't going to do 3, but another benefit, or not benefit, but positive to Blake's PR is she and Ryan are having powerful people support them. We're seeing Paul Feig, and we all know Ari Emanuel had supported them publicly as well. So I'm flying by the seat of my pants with this one, because it just clicked that this is also something that's gone really well for them, is they've had very public support by people that are power players in the industry. Paul Feig says, and this is 10 minutes or 10, sorry, let's rewind. One day ago, I don't know why I want to say it was 10 minutes ago that this went up. One day ago, this went up. Paul Feig says outrage against Blake Lively and another simple favor drama is boring. You don't know what you're talking about. And this is the article here. This is MSN, but it's making the rounds. While many stars of Another Simple Favor have avoided speaking out about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni following their ongoing legal feud and trial, director Paul Feig is showing his support for It Ends With Us star Lively. Commenting on rumors that Anna Kendrick and Lively feuded on the set of Another Simple Favor, he tells Esquire, Blake is an amazing collaborator. So calling her a collaborator. So when I read people's misconceptions about how movies are made, it's just frustrating for me. He added, when the gang on the internet get up in arms about something, it's just like, guys, you don't know what you're talking about. I love working with Blake. She's just the best. He also says, outrage is the most boring human emotion these days. When it's towards something meaningful, that's great, but people get outraged at everything. It's like, this is what you're angry about. There's other things to be outraged about. Please go and help make the world a better place. I mean, I do agree in some respects that we do need to make the world a better place, but for those that are outraged by this case, the outrage is because they feel it's a fake Me Too claim, which I believe righting a wrong is also a benefit to the world. Women or men should not be allowed to use fake Me Too claims to destroy someone's life. So I do believe he should have just stopped before he said that. And to a lot of people in the greater population who don't know about the case, or who think it's just too, because I see this a lot. I know it's hard to believe sometimes, but people saying, oh my God, it's just two rich people. Like, shut up, stop. This is like high school. He said, she said, bickering back and forth. Just stop. It's like rich people problems. So I do think for those not following the case, this could land well, where they're like, yeah, rich people problems. Am I right? But for those that are following the case and outraged because it seems to be very real that this was a coordinated attack against Justin for God knows why, I believe it is appropriately placed outrage personally. Now, 2 places I think Blake has to be very careful is, number 1, risking being overexposed. And I think this is where I align with what Chris is saying, where he says, she's likely going to take a step back after the movies. Sorry, I have to charge my computer. Letting you guys know I'm behind the scenes stuff. My computer's going to die. There we go. We're all set. I do believe that 1, she contractually had to show up. She couldn't step away. 2, it overall works with maintaining an image of being royalty essentially in Hollywood. But 3, I do believe her team is risking the potential for flood the market to tip over into overexposure right now, because I do believe that there is an intention of, once this is done, she's going to ride that momentum that she's created and then take time out of the public eye. And I think that'd be a smart move overall. But there is a risk that people are going to get fatigued by her presence and all of this media push and the saturation. And not just saturation, but what feels like fake, because it is, vulnerability and fake alignment with victims. That, while I think her statement is working in the greater scheme of things, there is a potential for that to really backfire and blow up in her face. So I do think her team has to be very careful to manage perception right now and take her out before, like, ride the momentum and take her out before things really turn for her. Number two, there is growing backlash. And the more you put her out there, there is the potential for people to start searching more and for public sentiment to shift. Because if people are now searching for her more, she's in your face all the time, they might be like, I'm going to go to YouTube and see what's going on. And they might start finding content like this where it's like, oh, I didn't realize that this was a potentially fake Me Too movement. I didn't realize that she was trying to destroy this man's life. I didn't realize that she had never talked about DV in the movie about DV. And now all of a sudden is this champion for women's rights. What's going on? So I do believe that there's a real slippery slope and a danger zone here where there is growing backlash and potential for that backlash to continue to grow the more she's in the public. So again, I think strategically, they just need to like zip it as soon as this is done, send her away, because we are seeing it overall. I think the greater society doesn't know much about what's going on, probably doesn't care, to be quite honest. I don't think Deadpool fans really give a shit. I don't think Marvel fans really care. I don't think Ryan's niche cares ultimately. And so her staying attached to him can be very beneficial for her. So that's the pros and cons of what Blake's doing. Let's slide over into Justin Baldoni. Number one for Justin Baldoni is, I believe the best thing he has going for him right now is that the internet is pushing out a certain narrative. The internet is fighting for him. So he has basically what you would do in PR is have third parties support you. He has the internet supporting him. And I think leaning on the internet and letting the internet and sleuths take charge is really great right now. I think it's a brilliant strategy that he's had. And I have no doubt, and I don't say this with shade, and I don't say this as negative, I have no doubt that his team is behind some of the things that might be quote unquote found. Might not be the case, might just be sleuths. But for example, one of the things you're going to see me recommend at the end of the video that he do in terms of PR is have third parties vouch for him. Very similar to what we saw with Blake, with Ari Emanuel and Paul Feig. Have third parties vouch for him. And it doesn't have to be them doing live interviews now or recent interviews. What you can do is pull up old interviews where people have said beneficial things or nice things. Well, we saw Sabrina Carpenter's statement about Justin Baldoni hit the news cycle recently. So this is the interview that's making a resurgence online. It's from Access Hollywood 2020. And it's interesting. So there's only 38 comments. It wasn't viral by any means. It's only 38K views from 4 years ago. So it wasn't gaining much traction at the time. And I'm actually surprised it hasn't gained much more, to be quite honest. But this interview with Sabrina Carpenter is fantastic. This is a PR move. So it's very possible, like I said, that it was organic. Someone found it, but it's also possible that his team has like dropped it somewhere, right? For people to see. This is where they start gushing about Justin Baldoni.
Everything. I mean,
that man has a lot of heart and emotion. He really is.
I don't think anyone else could have done this. He has known Zach and known all of these people, and he had to put someone's life in an hour and 20 minutes. I think that's the length of the movie. I'm not sure.
I think it's longer than that. I'm gonna be honest.
It's 120 minutes.
But how do you do that? You know, that's a hard thing to do. And Zach.
So they talk about Justin. He has a lot of heart. They really enjoyed working with Justin Baldoni. And then Sabrina continues gushing.
Had a hard job. There was a lot of things to establish and a lot of, you know, emotions to be felt throughout the film. And yeah, like Maddie said, no one else could have done that. No one else could have made us also feel secure enough to give the performances that we did, and our editors and our cinematographers.
So this is perfect. This is exactly, and whether, again, that was, oh, Sabrina, I'm sorry, I paused at that a bad spot. we'll just let the video go. I always feel bad if I pause things at a bad spot. But this is fantastic. And so I think his team has done really well with allowing third parties to push the narrative without them having to do a whole hell of a lot. And I think number two, what I would say in terms of what has gone very well for Justin is it's a quiet PR approach that they've taken. Now, I do believe that it's a little bit more in response to how Blake and Ryan and Judge Lehman have approached this. However, they've pivoted, they've grown, they've been adaptable within their PR approach. And so what they've done instead is they've come back to more of this, father figure and family man being seen with his kids. I think it was out for ice cream or something, surfing at the beach, but it's been more of a quiet PR. Again, I do think it is unfortunately because he's been boxed into that, but there's a lot of power in silence as well in PR and in crisis PR. Now, there's two missteps I do want to address, or the first one is potential misstep. Blake Lively was very attuned, her team, to her silence starting to work against her. She's been silent about DV the whole time. And all of a sudden, she came out at Times 100 as the spokeswoman for Women Without a Voice, and then reiterated that at Seth Meyers in her interview. I believe that more than anything, that was a response to her silence starting to become deafening. I mean, it was already deafening, let's be honest, but to the regular public as well. Those not following the case might start to question what's going on. So she understood that silence on a certain topic was starting to become problematic. And so just something for Justin's team to be aware of is, when can silence start to hurt him? If Blake and Ryan continue to win the optics war, major deals, viral content, platform amplification, Google trends trending in their favor, PR teams are going to be looking at all of this. That can start to work against him. Yes, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Yes, being too aggressive in PR is going to look bad. It's going to look the same as Blake's donut gate. And there's strategic PR moves that you can take where it's not him doing interviews. He absolutely should not do interviews. Has anyone seen Karen Reed's second trial, where I think the most damning evidence is the shit she said in interviews? He should not be doing interviews. He should not be making statements. But again, there's a couple things that he can do or lean into, and I'm going to talk about those at the end. Number two, where I think there's been a misstep, and maybe why there's been more silence on his side, is this situation here, which happened in March. This came out in People magazine. It started to make the rounds. And the headline here was, Justin Baldoni's lawyer clarifies why he called Blake Lively a victim. A lot of people are victims here. Now, again, March 13th, let's read the article a bit. Justin Baldoni's lawyer is clarifying his victim comment amid the legal battle with his clients. It ends with us co-star Blake Lively. So, of course, Brian Freeman represents Justin Baldoni, and he went on a podcast and addressed this straight on. Now, this was probably a PR move to address this straight on. He addressed that during a March 6th pre-trial conference in front of Judge Lehman. He had said, my clients have a right to defend themselves. That is in no way abusing the victim. However he meant that, y'all know how media works. And that was taken and it was run with in the media. As soon as you have Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and Blake Lively attached to the word victim, that is not good PR for Justin Baldoni at all. That is not good. Now, when he went on this interview or this podcast, this Baldoni said, it is interesting you said not abusing the victim. Does that mean you agree that Blake is a victim here? And then Friedman said, I actually think that a lot of people are victims here. I think Justin's a victim here. I think Melissa Nathan's a victim. I think Jed Wallace is a victim. I think Jen Abel is a victim. I think Steve Sarwitz is. Jamie Heath is. Pressing on Baldoni said, but you did say Blake is a victim in a court hearing. And Friedman clarifies, what I said is, this is not attacking the victim. When Baldoni said he had put scare quotes like that, air quotes, I call them, around the word victim, Freeman said, yeah, well, air quotes, victim can be in the eye of the beholder. So I do think this was not, oh, look at the ad that's coming up. Most memorable Met Gala entrances, and Blake Lively, look at this in the corner. Do you guys see it? Blake Lively was the first one shown there. That's PR as well. Blake Lively and Met Gala are trending actually on Google right now, as well as Blake Lively and Another Simple Favor. So anyway, getting back to this. This was a major misstep. Last thing you need in a crisis PR situation is your lawyer, even if it was taken out of context, referring to Blake Lively as the victim. Y'all didn't need that. That was a major misstep, I would say, within Justin Baldoni's approach. And things got a lot more quiet after this, which is probably intentional as well, right? They're very adaptable in their PR approach, and they do recognize when they need to take a step away. Now, let's look at something else. The reason why I say that Justin needs a strategic approach moving forward is because of this. If you search Justin Baldoni news, this is what you get currently. The number one story is from The Guardian, the misogyny slop ecosystem, how Candace Owens and the American right declared war on Blake Lively. That was only 8 hours ago. And then you get Blake Lively news. Blake Lively has dominated headlines for months. Blake Lively finally breaks silence on legal battle. Blake Lively's Another Simple Favor director slams outrage against actress. Blake Lively's, oh, well, that's not a good one. Incest scene sends fans into meltdown. Okay, well, that is not a positive one. And it's interesting that it's still showing up, however, under Justin Baldoni. We keep going. I literally searched Justin Baldoni news. Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds skip Met Gala. Blake Lively officially addresses Justin Baldoni legal drama in new late-night interview. Blake Lively speaks on fear amid legal battle with Justin Baldoni. Blake Lively's kids have been her lifeline and gotten through her intense year amid her legal battle with Justin Baldoni. Blake Lively breaks her silence on It Ends With Us legal battle with Justin Baldoni. Highs of highs, lowest of lows. We're still seeing the New York Times on page 1. Y'all, we are on page 1. We are still seeing New York Times, we can bury anyone inside a Hollywood smear machine. On page 1, you want to be controlling and shutting down the narrative, and that is still on page 1. So unfortunately, if someone is just searching Justin Baldoni news, this is what's coming up. If you change the search to Justin Baldoni lawsuit, the real reason why Blake Lively's not at the Met Gala, like amid ongoing Justin Baldoni lawsuit, that headline is strategic. It strategically placed Justin Baldoni lawsuit in it, so it's also dominating search engines for Justin Baldoni. Blake Lively and Taylor Swift able to recover friendship amid lawsuit. And see here, Justin Baldoni. So the search engine scraping the article and pulling lawsuit with the name Justin Baldoni. Marvel asked to be removed from Blake Lively Justin Baldoni legal battle over Nice Pool character. Again, we're not really seeing a whole heck of a lot that's pro-Justin in the news. And this is what I'm trying to say, that eventually silence is not golden. And just pushing it as, or viewing PR as he has to speak, he can no longer be silent, is not nuanced. So every time I speak out that he needs to have a different approach, people get all up in arms, basically end up in my DM saying, I don't know what I'm talking about. He should stay silent. PR is just not about talking or not. Narrative control does not need to have a voice. And this is what I'm saying. So the two pieces that I would say could be really leveraged to his benefit are, one, third parties. Yes, the internet is great to have as a third party coming forward, but you can also look at other people within the industry. Adam, who played the OBGYN in It Ends With Us, came forward and basically called Blake a liar. That was great PR for Justin. We need more momentum in that way. He needs people willing to speak out. Will they? A lot of people, I've got to be honest, are probably waiting and covering their asses to see how this shakes out. And I think a lot of people are a little bit nervous to speak out and have, Blake and Ryan still be okay in running Hollywood. And now they've spoken out about someone that ends up blacklisted in Hollywood and it negatively impacts their career. It's not fair. It's not just, but it's the truth. So we need more like this. It Ends With Us actor reveals on-set details that may tear apart Blake Lively's nearly nude birth scene claim. But this really didn't gain tons of traction at the end of the day. It really didn't get tons of traction. You don't even see this. When I pulled up Justin Baldoni news, you didn't even see this trending. We still have articles from December that are trending over this. So actor Adam Monchin, I apologize. I'm horrible with names. I feel like shit constantly. I apologize. But he played the OBGYN. He spoke out in regards to this. We need more of this. And in fact, I would say we need more women speaking out in support of Justin. We did see, and forgive me, I can't remember her name. We did see one of the women that worked on the set of It Ends With Us that had done an interview in regards to it and said that he was one of the best directors that she ever worked with. That didn't gain steam either. Y'all, what is going on? Like, PR, guys, push it real good. But seriously, these stories need to gain more traction. We have Blake Lively that's completely dominating the narrative. She is shutting down content creators. She's shadow banning content creators. We're seeing lawyers who their content around Van Zandt is getting hidden or muted. I have a post that I put up on TikTok today. Let's see if it actually got any views. Oh, we're up to 400. It was at 0 for the first hour and a half. 0 views for the first hour and a half on TikTok. And you know what? Now we're going on a rant. You know why I think TikTok's being targeted? TikTok is heavy, like critical thinking and pro Justin. And it's where you can really trend quickly in terms of some of these stories. So I think they're targeting TikTok harder than any other platform right now. I'm not seeing Instagram targeted in the same way. That's happening in real time. So they're working against a machine that not only is suppressing articles, but suppressing content creators. They've got to be a little bit more aggressive. And I don't mean aggressive as doing something shady or a smear campaign or Justin doing an interview, but they do, I believe, my opinion. I'm not on his team seeing the numbers behind the scene and what they know. But from the outside looking in, y'all, your page 1 and page 2 of Google is a fucking mess. We shouldn't be seeing an article from December, period. That is wild to me. So I would love to see more women speaking out, but I do believe that they are covering their asses and waiting to see how the trial goes. I'm going to be honest, and that doesn't help Justin now. Number 2 is what they can do, and what I do think was done with the Sabrina Carpenter interview is push, if you have in the archives, if you know, oh my gosh, someone said this or someone quoted this or whatever, push that out, leak it, leak it. Drop it in a DM of a content creator. Things like Sabrina talking about her great experience with Justin are still the third parties, are still someone else speaking for him. I don't think he should speak out, but that is another PR tactic that he can push to the forefront that can benefit him right now. And then number 3, I would say still lean into kind of the family man energy. We're seeing images and pictures leaked. That is PR of him surfing, of him with his kids and his family. I think that's a fantastic approach, to be honest. As long as it doesn't start looking too staged, like Donut Gate with Blake Lively, I think it's a great approach. So I would say continue to lean into that without it feeling forced or without it feeling like, now he's at a soup kitchen, unless he used to be seen at that soup kitchen helping out and volunteering, and someone can vouch and be like, yeah, he's done this for years. You don't want to make it look forced like Donut Gate. But that's my opinion. I do think it is not good when Blake Lively is dominating also his name in SEO, and they have very strategic, very smart headlines that include words like lawsuit and previews of the article that include words like Justin Baldoni, because that's what Google's is going to be scraped, right? So you're scraping H1 headlines, H2 headlines, and the blurb, essentially, that you see. The little blurb that you see, that's what you're getting scraped from an article. So the way they've strategically put titles, H1 headlines, H2 headlines, and the preview, the little blurb you see, has made her also dominate his name. So I do think there has to be a different approach. That's what I would push, is leaning on people that are willing to speak out. Number 2, old interviews of people singing his praises. But I don't know. What do you guys think? And I'd love to hear your views as like kind of zooming out a bit. What are your thoughts, right? Because it's easy to get in the muck of it and let our feelings take over. If we zoom out a bit, what are your thoughts? If you were someone, I'd love to hear, if you were someone that, pretend you don't get your news on TikTok, you don't get your news on Instagram, and you were just Googling something. You're like, what's going on with Blake Lively these days? What would your perception be? if you weren't following the content creators? I'd love to hear what your perception of the case would be. All right, my friends, I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.